Want to be a movie star, first of all. I just felt people in LA and movie industry, they were all messed up. I didn't want to be like.
Goldie Hawn's smile could light up a room. Her laughter could shift the mood of an entire audience, and her roles made her a household name across generations. But behind the sparkle of Hollywood fame, her life story has always been more complex, layered with triumphs and tragedies that most fans never see. She isn't just another star from Hollywood's golden age. She's a survivor who rewrote what it meant to be a leading lady in a male-dominated industry. From winning an Oscar in her very first major role to becoming a powerful producer when few women dared, Goldie fought to be more than the stereotype she was once cast into. Yet for every dazzling success, there were shadows that haunted her: broken marriages, public family feuds, and now reports of fading health that remind us even legends aren't immune to time. Today, as Goldie faces some of her hardest battles yet, her journey forces us to ask, how does someone who seemed untouchable end up surrounded by so much pain? Let's retrace the incredible rise, the heartbreak, and the legacy of Goldie Hawn, the woman who could make the world laugh while silently carrying her own tragedies. Goldie Hawn's beginnings didn't look like the start of a Hollywood fairy tale. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1945, she grew up in a family that balanced both music and heartbreak. Her father, a band conductor of German-English descent, gave her rhythm, while her mother, the daughter of Hungarian Jewish immigrants, ran a dance school that introduced Goldie to the world of performance. But in the background was a silence few ever talked about. Her parents had lost their first son, Edward Jr., before Goldie was even born. The family rarely mentioned it, but that hidden grief would cast a quiet shadow over her childhood, instilling in her a sensitivity and depth that would later surface in her acting. By the time she was just 3 years old, Goldie was already dancing in her mother's studio, and at 10, she was chosen to perform in the Nutcracker with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. That early brush with stage lights planted a seed of ambition, far bigger than the walls of any dance studio. At 19, instead of following the traditional college path, she boldly opened her own ballet school, proof of her independence and refusal to follow rules. But deep down, she knew she wanted more than dance. Goldie didn't just want to move to music. She wanted to command every gaze in the room. That hunger for a bigger stage would soon carry her across the country, chasing a dream she could barely define, but already knew she had to follow. In 1966, Goldie packed up her courage, her tiny poodle, and just $250 in savings, and flew to California to chase a life most people only dreamed of. That leap of faith became the first of many moments where fate seemed to test her. Driving across the desert in a 1959 Chevrolet convertible, she stranded until a stranger appeared. A Green Beret, recently returned from Vietnam, offered her a ride, and the two shared an afternoon that felt more like a scene from a film than real life. It wouldn't be the last time Goldie turned disaster into opportunity. Soon after, she landed a spot dancing in Las Vegas, and from there, Hollywood started calling. Her first big role came on the sitcom Good Morning World in 1967, where she was typecast as the dumb blonde. A role was shallow, but Goldie's natural charisma shone through, making even the most forgettable lines sparkle. Then came the show that would change everything, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. On national TV, painted in psychedelic colors or dancing in bikinis, Goldie became the face of late 1960s pop culture. Her infectious laugh and quirky delivery turned her into a fan favorite almost overnight. But television fame was only the first step. Hollywood was waiting, and her big break would be even bigger than anyone, including Goldie, could have imagined. For most actors, winning an Oscar is the crowning achievement of a long career. For Goldie Hawn, it happened on her very first major film. In 1969, she starred in Cactus Flower, playing Tony Simmons, the young fiancé of Walter Matthau's character. It was supposed to be a light supporting role, but Goldie's mix of innocence and emotional vulnerability stole the film. The movie became a box office hit, grossing over $25 million in the US, a massive success for the time. Then came the night that shocked Hollywood, the Academy Awards. Goldie, filming in London, wasn't even at the ceremony. At 4 a.m, a phone call woke her up with the news. She had won Best Supporting Actress. Raquel Welch accepted the award on her behalf, and the world officially had a new star. What made the win so remarkable wasn't just the award, it was what it represented. Goldie had shattered the stereotype of the dumb blonde. Audiences and critics suddenly saw her as a serious actress who could blend comedy with emotional depth. But the higher the pedestal, the greater the expectations. The industry was ready to test whether Goldie could handle not just fame, but power, and she was more than ready to prove them wrong. By the 1970s and 1980s, Goldie Hawn wasn't just acting, she was rewriting the rules of Hollywood. At a time when few women had creative control, Goldie stepped into producing, determined to shape her own career instead of letting studios box her in. Her biggest gamble was Private Benjamin in 1980. Studio executives dismissed the concept, insisting no one would pay to see a comedy about women in the army. Goldie fought back, produced it herself, and proved everyone wrong. The film grossed nearly $70 million and earned her an Oscar nomination for Best Actress. It was a turning point that cemented her reputation as not just a star, but a visionary. More hits followed: Overboard with Kurt Russell, Bird on a Wire with Mel Gibson, and, eventually, her highest-grossing film, The First Wives Club, in 1996, which earned a staggering $181 million worldwide. By then, her films had collectively brought in billions, making her one of the most bankable actresses of her generation. But even as her star power soared, cracks were forming behind the scenes. Goldie could conquer the big screen, but her personal life was unraveling in ways that even she couldn't control. Goldie's love life often felt like a Hollywood script, filled with passion, betrayal, and scandal. Her first marriage to dancer Gus Triconis seemed promising at first. They shared the same birthday, a love for dance, and the bohemian lifestyle of struggling artists. But while Goldie's career took off, Gus's stalled, creating a rift that only grew wider. Their marriage ended quietly, but her next relationship would be far louder. In 1976, Goldie married musician Bill Hudson, guitarist for the Hudson Brothers. They had 2 children together, Oliver and Kate Hudson, who would later become stars in their own right. But the marriage was turbulent. Bill accused Goldie of wanting an open marriage and later claimed she manipulated the narrative to make it appear he abandoned his kids. Goldie denied the accusations, but the divorce became bitter, with custody disputes and years of resentment. Decades later, the feud resurfaced publicly when Oliver Hudson posted a photo on Father's Day with the caption, "Happy Abandonment Day." Bill retaliated in the press, disowning Oliver and Kate entirely and demanding they stop using the Hudson name. The ugly fallout exposed the fractures in Goldie's family, leaving scars that never fully healed. For Goldie, the pain of broken marriages and public feuds would follow her long after the spotlight faded. Amid the chaos, Goldie found an unexpected love story that would defy Hollywood odds. She first met Kurt Russell in 1968 while filming the one and only genuine original family band. At the time, she was 21 and he was just 16. Too young for anything beyond friendship, they went their separate ways, but fate wasn't done with them. 15 years later, they reconnected on the set of Swing Shift, and this time, sparks flew. What won Goldie over wasn't Kurt's fame or charm. It was how naturally he bonded with her children, Oliver and Kate. She described watching him play with them on set and realizing he was different. Their first date was as unconventional as their relationship would be. After a few drinks, they decided to check out a house Goldie had been eyeing. But without a key, they ended up breaking in, only to be caught by police. That bizarre night became the foundation of a love that's lasted over 4 decades. Unlike her previous marriages, Goldie and Kurt chose never to marry, believing their freedom was part of what made the relationship work. They didn't need a certificate to prove their commitment. And in a town where Hollywood couples come and go like seasons, their enduring partnership remains one of the industry's rare success stories. But even the strongest love and the brightest career can't outrun time. In recent years, Goldie's public appearances have sparked concern among fans. At 79, she's still active in charity and occasionally on screen, but reports of fading memory and health struggles have surfaced. Paparazzi photos show a woman far from the golden-haired star audiences remember, sparking speculation about cognitive decline or age-related illness. Nothing has ever been officially confirmed, but whispers about her frailty have grown louder. For fans who remember her energy, wit, and radiance, seeing her visibly aged is a painful reminder that even icons are human. Goldie once represented the spirit of freedom, resilience, and independence, a woman who fought stereotypes and built her own empire. Now, those same qualities are tested in her personal battles against aging and loss. It's not just her fading health that feels tragic, but also the fractured relationships in her family that remain unresolved. In many ways, her later years mirror the roles she once played, balancing joy with heartbreak, laughter with sorrow, light with shadow. Goldie Hawn's life has never been simple. She rose from a young dancer in Washington, D.C. to one of Hollywood's most powerful women, transforming the dumb blonde stereotype into roles filled with depth, comedy, and independence. She built a career that earned billions at the box office and left a lasting mark on American cinema. Yet, behind the applause were stories of failed marriages, bitter family disputes, and now the painful reality of aging. The tragedy of Goldie Hawn today isn't just her fading health, but the way her family has been fractured by resentment and public feuds. Still, through every setback, Goldie has remained fiercely herself. She never let Hollywood define her, and even now, she continues to live on her own terms. Her story is both dazzling and heartbreaking, reminding us that even those who seem larger than life are still vulnerable to time, love, and loss. In the end, Goldie Hawn isn't just a Hollywood legend. She's proof that resilience can shine even in the darkest shadows.